What's going on there, guys? It's Mac. Hope you guys are well. This is one of our episodes, the gaming chat, and I haven't got a name for it yet, but we've also got a guest today. So we got our usual Hassan,
Thank
Lovejet,
you.
and we got our guest today as well, who's been in previous
What's up there,
podcasts.
guys?
That's Shah.
What's up there, Shah? What's going on? What's up there, Hassan?
Hi guys,
I don't
thanks a lot for
know.
coming on today to the video stream. We're going to be doing, as a Halloween special, I've got my little pumpkin that I carved out myself as well. We got Hassan with the pumpkin hat as well. Awesome, awesome. Getting in the spirit. I saw, yeah, Punisher. At least it's not that zombie one, thank God.
What, Punisher? But what? There ain't no Punisher, bro.
It's not Punisher.
Acid.
That's just
Acid skull, man.
Ah, at least it's not that zombie one. Oh, God, I hate that zombie one. I fucking hate that t-shirt. Oh my God. But yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. I know it's a bit late, especially for Lovejet, but hey ho. As for a Halloween special, we're going to be doing a top 5 horror films because I'm a bit too shook to play horror games. I'm going to play Resident Evils eventually, but for the time being, I've just stayed away from them because I just find them too spooky, man. It's like
What?
it's scary enough watching
You
horror film,
experience
but when you're
horror,
playing
like,
a horror
you-
film, when you're actually playing a horror game, you're actually living it. I find it even more scary,
Yeah, that's the
especially
point. Immersion.
especially VR. Oh my God, if you play a VR
You
horror
be
game,
dead if you play Dead Space, man. Dead Space
Yeah,
is
yeah.
like
that was so
shake.
freaky. Oh my
scary.
God, like the little freaking ghost, that little child in it, giggle in the background is a ghost child. I was like freaked out. I mean,
Wait, hold on. So have you not played any of the other Resident Evils before?
I've never played Resident Evils. I'm gonna play the remakes.
See, if you jumped into Resident Evil 7 as your first game,
What, the VR one?
the one with the VR one, then yeah, it's going to be scary.
I would
But
die.
the other ones aren't really as scary as the one you jumped into with. So
Yeah, it's going to be like more action. I think the Res 2 remake might make you like jump scared.
Yeah.
Might give you jump scares, but it's not scary. You're armed up.
it's not scary.
I
yeah.
know they're like a good game, and I know like 6 and I think 5 and 6 are more like action based. That's
Yeah.
why I'm gonna look for. That's why I want to play them. I'm just waiting for. So I've got 2 remakes come out, 3 remake. I'm gonna wait for the 4th remake, and then I'm gonna get 2, 3, and 4, and then play 5 and 6. And I'm basically gonna start it like that. I'm
Oh,
gonna
wow.
play them, and then eventually, when I get to the VR one, I might just get the non-VR version because I'm
Nah,
just
man, you have to get
no,
it
man,
in VR,
that
man.
girl in the
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
that's too much, man.
Wait.
And
but
I'm
the VR
preparing
version-
myself for Resident Evil, is it 8, the new one, right?
8 is going to be both VR and standard.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
new one, I'm going to wait, I'm going to basically play the remakes up until that point, and then play 5 and 6, and then I'm going to jump onto the newest one, maybe on the Xbox when it comes out. We got 5 films, we're going to do 1 film at a time. We're going to start from the 5th film, everyone's 5th choice, and then we're
Okay.
going to move down to the 4th, and so on to number 1, right? So, Shah, let us know, first of all.
is probably a really old one, and Exorcist. Only because I watched it. Only because I watched it when I was, I think, 11 or 12,
Same.
and that just scared the
That's
crap
some
out of me.
bad
for
parenting,
ages and ages.
man. Bad
I could go
parenting.
downstairs,
Man,
man.
I always did
If
it.
if the lights were off downstairs, man, I would not go downstairs at night. Man. But I think it's that. I mean, obviously, if I watch it now, it's not scary at all compared to when I watched it back then. But because of nostalgia and when I watched it,
When they did the extended edition, I watched it. That's when I watched it again from since being young, and it was still fucking scary, man.
mate, I can't remember, but it's like
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
beginning part of
Watch
the-
it.
What?
Watch it.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
Yeah, watch it.
No
You're
one-
home alone.
no
You
one-
should do it after this video. You're home alone. Just watch it tonight, man.
Yeah, that's it. That's a good call.
Never.
Yeah,
never.
it's a light-
I only
turn the
watch
lights
I only
down.
watch horror films with people, and even then I'm really scared. But I do enjoy watching it. I do enjoy
I
watching
do,
horror films.
yeah.
I like the
Was
rush.
that your 5th best or the number 1?
So we're going from the 5th. So your
Yeah, that's
your
I'll
least
go down like
favorite
the least,
to your top
least,
5.
yeah,
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 it's top 5. Yeah.
least.
Number 1 obviously being the final one, that your best one. So
Yeah.
go on, you guys next.
Let's go next.
Loved it.
Similar line as that, nostalgia, The Omen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ages
That
since-
fucking film, man. That little kid. That
Yeah.
yeah. It was just
Freaky,
like,
yeah.
even at the end, you wanted that kid like to ruin it for people, but by the end, you were like, I really hope this kid dies. But yeah, that was a fucking like. I watched that same time as Shah. Like when I was about 11 or 10, I watched that.
Yeah.
That shit. When
Freaky,
you're
yeah.
a kid, it freaks you out, man. It's like
How you
Yeah,
guys
man.
watching horror films like that at 11, man? I would never. I
I
mean,
watched Pulp Fiction when I was young, man. Why do you think I
Yeah,
saw
yeah. That's the best time to watch it.
I used to freak out over the little snippets of X-Files. You know, the opening sequence that I used to see
Oh,
when
come on, give me a.
when my brother used to watch it, and I used to be
X-Files.
like, yeah, probably like 5, 7, whatever. And I used to freak out at that. And you guys are watching flipping Exorcism, and
I watched
Yeah,
Aliens. I watched
oh my
Aliens
God.
with my dad. I
Oh
watched
my
Aliens with my
God.
dad, and
Oh,
that killed me off. That I could not go downstairs because I thought, fuck it, man, you're just gonna get attacked by alien.
that
Out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
that
yeah.
reminds
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
That reminds me. One of the classic older ones that I watch. It's not in my top 5, but do you guys remember? I think it was called Horizon or something.
Event
Oh,
Horizon.
yeah, the space one.
That's a good film. That's a
Event
good film.
Horizon.
Fuck. So it had
The
Matrix
space
and
one, yeah.
Morpheus, Lawrence
Right,
Fishburne,
yeah.
and it had the guy from Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park guy, yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot that. The legendary guy, the main one from the very first one. My God, that was one of the scariest films, man. Remember the end when he came out and he was like all like blood faced, and that. But to me, that's more like Dead Space. Basically, the guys in the vents, you could see ghosts.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically,
But that was
a
an
ship
interesting film.
that's been stuck in
That was good.
space. And it's come back.
It's very
It
psychological.
is so cool. I mean, such a wicked story, but I don't know how I watched that because, man, I was dying at certain
I watched
point.
that again.
It was such a good
actually.
film, but
It's on
Yeah,
Netflix.
Same.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah,
Netflix.
yeah,
I watched it
yeah.
again. I watched it again because it's like it's a really interesting
It's a good
take on a
sci-fi.
horror film.
I think I've seen the cover on Netflix, and I was like, I'm not even gonna add it to my list of what. It looks good.
I don't want to ruin my Jurassic Park memories. I don't
No,
want him to
no,
be
no,
like
no,
a
no.
horror guy.
No, loved it. I actually watched that film. I enjoyed the film. It's a really good film. What I'm saying is that I wouldn't watch it again. I'm just too scared unless someone else was there.
Have you seen 5 horror films? Because you're saying you hate horror films.
Yeah.
No.
So much.
It's so true. It's so true.
I don't hate horror films. I'm saying I love them. I'm just really scared. But that's the idea. Like I'm not watching it to be.
Right,
to
so
joke.
I'll tell you what you shouldn't do, right?
Because
So-
some people piss me off here, like my brothers, right? They'll watch a horror film and they'll be like, "Oh, that was so funny." I was like, "Shut up." That's not
I'll
funny.
tell you what
It was scary. It's meant to be
did.
scary.
I'll tell you what I did that was
But I
scary.
enjoy it.
So, in the other building before I lived here, I lived in a building that survived World War II. Very difficult to find buildings that survived World War II. I remember one night I couldn't go to sleep. Like I was like, "Fuck, man, I got work the next day." So before I went to bed, I made the intelligent decision to watch ghost videos. So I spent like an
Holy
hour.
shit.
Yeah.
What?
Trust me.
American
I
Horror
was watching.
Story.
It was dark.
Yeah.
It was dark. It's a building from the 1930s. You're sitting there. You're watching all these ghost stories, and I was like, "All right, now I'm ready to go to sleep." And then all you hear is the door go, "Eh," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't care. Kill me. I'm done. I'm going to bed. Fuck it. It's over. I've already lost."
I'd go underneath the bed like those, those old school horror films.
Oh,
Man, I'll
you
switch
get
all the
killed
lights
so
on. Man. I'll
easily.
switch all the lights on.
You get killed so easily. You don't understand.
Remember Babadook, Mr. Babadook?
Yes, that's what that's on my list, man.
Sorry, but oh my god, I remember that one. I was so shook, man.
I'll make
I've
that
not
Like
seen
number 5. then.
cupboards and shit like that. I used to
That's
freak
number
out.
5.
The end of your fucking bed, like, oh my god, so scary.
That's my number 5 then, because you've said it already. That's gonna be my number 5. Because mine I can move around anyway, but
Okay,
yeah, that's
cool.
my number 5.
That was a freaky film, wasn't it? Oh.
Because it plays on all the childhood scariness, like scary things that go on as you're a kid.
It's got that, yeah. They got that.
Yeah.
And the
that-
voice was cool.
It's that Elm Street type vibe, isn't it?
Yeah, the voice was good as well. Like
I might watch that. I heard good things
Yeah,
about
You
that.
know when they
Really good.
drew it out, the kid drew it out, and it was
Yeah,
basically
that's
like a
Boogeyman.
dark shadow. Oh, it was so.
Yeah.
It was so freaky.
Candyman! Remember Candyman?
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
day?
That's
Have you seen
good.
Shah? Have you seen that one, Babadook?
Which one? Babadook. Yeah.
Fucking
It was
hell.
good. Okay, so that's my 5. So what's yours, Matt?
Yeah. So
Top 5.
what you're gonna find in my top 5 is that these are ones that because I've seen a lot of horror films, right? I'm not gonna pick up all the recent
Okay.
stuff because they are like everyone's gonna be like, oh, that's shit. Because a
Nah,
lot,
I'm
because a
going
lot,
to read-
because a lot of people
I'm
think
going to-
that the newer horror films are shit, but
They're
the
not,
thing
though,
is,
yeah.
I personally get scared by like majority of horror films. That's why I quite enjoy watching them. But I know that there's classics that I remember as being like my all-time favorites. That's why I'm gonna go for more of those ones in my top 5. I'm not gonna give you like something like Black Christmas because I watched that. That was fun. But everyone's gonna be like,
What's the film, man?
It's just dead,
What's
innit?
the film? Damn,
So
man,
number
it's the film.
5 is the Blair Witch Project. Number 1.
Okay.
The very first one. Now that one to me was like I think I watched it quite late because initially it had so much like story behind it. Like like there was so much real life story about it being a real thing. It was like
That was all well done marketing.
it was a project that people actually went from school and something, and then it happened. And there was so much like like outside of the film media about it, like people talking about it being like a real thing and what happened to that. And there was so much mystery around it and so much real life like freakiness about it. And so I avoided it like the plague. I was a bit shook as usual. But then eventually I watched it, and throughout the entire film, even though it's one of those films where nothing really much happens, just the fact that I know that I've heard so much stories outside of the actual film about it that it got me even more pumped. And every single bit that happened, I was like freaked out, like, fuck, is something gonna happen now? You're gonna see something. And then even like right at the end, like it was all blurry. You went into the house. It's a fucked up, scary house. Like I would never go into that house. And then you see the back of the kid against the wall, right? And,
In a corner.
and like, I think they were floating or something. And I just felt freaked out because it's like one of those films where it's like, what the fuck is actually happening? You're not fully aware of what exactly is happening, but you're freaked out, and then you're also freaked out by the stories that you've heard about it, and it's got such a following. And I was just like, it has to be my top 5. It's just like it was that type of film, I like films that have like a outer world relevance, not just like completely fake, like either based on true events or based on a true story, or they make it out like this new genre where they make it out like it actually was a true story, and then you find out after it wasn't actually a true story, but they make it look like a documentary. Now,
Blair Witch Project definitely had ambience. It had ambience and it had lore because it was connected to like real life events. And the thing is, I do get what you mean.
The real life events were lies.
yeah.
Well, no, but the Selma Blair Witch,
it
they
felt
were
real,
Blair Witch.
But that's not what it was connected to.
What was it connected to?
Smart thing about Blair Witch Project is they built, because they took advantage of like social media and the internet being quite new. They just planted loads of red herrings.
I don't even know if that was even
That's
even available at that time.
I was surprised that you still got scared and no one spoiled that for you. That it was all lies.
Also, the fact that it was all about the tapes. I remember, the VCR tapes that they handed.
It
on
was like
cameras.
vlog style, isn't it?
I was so like, I
Yeah.
actually love that. I think recently
made it
the
made it a
newer
bit more
ones,
realistic.
the newer ones were like Cloverfield that did that, right?
Yeah,
But I actually quite like that film because of the way they did the handheld thing. But to me, like Blair Witch was like the first one to do it, and I love that fact where you're just like finding tapes and you're reliving someone's like last moments. I love that type of stuff. It's fucking amazing. It just freaks you out, but you're pumped to watch it all the way. It was good. Number 4, guys. All right, I'll talk about this one.
Sure.
This was actually my number 3. But
Yeah, segue into it.
I'll make it into my number 4 now, purely because it was really moving. Paranormal Activity 1, the first one.
I had that.
You've gone into all the ones that are like the social media buzz. Those were the ones that over like.
Does that have Michael Keaton in it?
I don't remember. I don't know.
I think that because Michael
The
Keaton
second-
was in a paranormal.
it was
He was in a
unknown.
paranormal.
Was it the
Activity.
first one?
The first one, yeah.
I don't think he was in the first one. I think
it
it
might be the
was.
second one.
I'm going for the
Yeah.
first ones because they were the ones that the original ones. They usually are the best ones, and then I think maybe 2 or 3 tends to be okay, but then after that they just basically
No, they were bad. I think the rest were bad.
they're just
Yeah.
cash cows, right? I've seen all of them to be honest, but number 1 stood out for me the most because up until right up to the end credits, when they even showed it was dedicated to these people, and they died, I genuinely believed it. I genuinely fell for it because it was actually, I think after I watched the credits, I IMDb'd them, and they were alive and they were making films, and I was like, you fuckers, you flipping lied to me. You dedicate this film to these 2 couple, and I thought they died from.
Yeah, they
but,
took that from Blair Witch. They took that marketing.
Yeah.
That's
Like Blair Witch was like I think it's 2 decades ago, right? And
Yeah.
then this film was like
1990s.
this film was like one of the newer ones that to go back on that. And I absolutely loved it because again it was like recordings and then you go back and you're watching the tapes and you're like, you know, like normal things are happening but you're like, what the fuck is that? And it's fucking is moving and they're not even seeing it. Are you fucking seeing this? What are you doing? And it's like the simplest things can be the most frightening things, and it's because of that, the way they create that buzz by having VCR tapes and recordings, and then you're watching it back and you're like, shit, did you just see that? Rewind it, and you're like, fuck, that just happened. I was freaked out. I think the bit when he got dragged out the bed, oh my god, that was so... And like, you know, he goes go downstairs. I'm like, why would you go downstairs?
But that's the
Everyone
point.
goes downstairs.
Why would you do
Everyone
that?
goes downstairs.
And why would you
That's
run
the
out? And when you're downstairs, you run outside. Why would you run upstairs? You're mental. Yeah, like, what do you guys think of that film? Did you guys feel for
I
it?
enjoyed it, but for me, it was like
loved
played out. I feel that because those sort of films for me were a bit played out. So like, I wasn't
is
as
that-
affected by it. I
is that-
liked it. I wasn't affected by it. Like,
The jump scare.
Yeah, I think I
I've
like
seen
the
it.
first one. The first one was decent. The second, third one, you sort of knew the premise of the film, but
Exactly.
the first one, the first one I preferred over the others. It was a good watch.
Yeah.
It was a bit scary. Yeah.
Because
It
the
was
first one, you know, invents it properly, and then after you already know the premise, it's harder for you to get fall for the, you know, the main hook. Because you sort of know what's going to happen because you've seen their sort of formula that they follow. It's like, you know, like most horror films, they follow a certain formula. After the first time, you sort of know what they might be going along the lines of.
Yeah.
So the first one's always the best one in that sense. A lot of these films that I picked actually have a lot of sequels, but I'm always going for the first one, but in sort of like brackets, I'm adding the sequels as maybes. Cool. Number 4, guys. Hassan?
so mine was more on the entertainment side of things, but it's still classed a horror. Is Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Hassan, so unprofessional. So unprofessional, man.
Cabin in the Woods is a phone call.
I'll put it on silent. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
Can you imagine if he said that film, you know, the horror film, was it 7 Days? Where where you see something and then you get a phone call and it says 7 days and you get a phone call just at that moment, I'd be like, fuck, shit, he's gonna die.
Yes, all right, Cabin in the Woods, because it broke the fourth wall of horrors. You got sucked in, and then like when the twist happens in the movie, which I don't want to spoil it for viewers.
The ending of it is quite interesting. The ending of it is interesting.
It's like-
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, it's got Liam Hemsworth in it. Thor.
No, holy shit, he was in that. Before he was
This was before Avengers.
Before
he got picked the store.
The end part's really good for horror fans of the past, if you know big horror characters and stuff.
yeah.
But that's
Cool.
mine anyway. But loved it.
It's not bad, not bad.
My one isn't. I wouldn't actually consider it to be horror, but to be honest with you, the suspense and everything that it creates in it, one could argue that it is kind of a horror movie. It's Alien.
It is a horror.
That was in my list as well. But
Yeah.
I think that
I think
that falls
between
into,
all of them, I prefer Aliens 2. Aliens 3, I don't like. Resurrection, I think, completely took it apart. But
Yeah.
between 1 and 2,
1 and 2, yeah.
yeah. 2, I just prefer because I think 2 is a very aggressive. It's more of a
Action film.
But 1, the suspense,
Yeah, the
One
horror.
is slower. One is
everything,
slower,
yeah.
Wait, what do you
But
prefer?
also-
1 or 2? What are you picking?
Huh?
One. He's picking one.
I prefer. I think as a horror film, 1 is. It's purely this
Yeah.
one creature decimating the entire team. It's decimating the entire crew.
It's Alien,
One
innit?
by
The
one
second
by
one's
one,
called
yeah.
Aliens with the S.
But the
Was that
second one, I prefer the second one more.
Was the second one directed by James Cameron, or was that?
Yeah.
the first
Yeah, second one. But the second one
the
had
original
bits
3.
of it that were very freaky. Like the bit of it that was quite scary was when you had the D guns. So when the D guns were firing,
Oh yeah.
and then the bullets ran out, and then you were kind of like, when I watch that, I'm always in a defensive mode. It's like, how do you beat them? Because the thing is, they got that one flaw, which was the ceiling.
Yeah.
If they didn't have the
that's it.
ceiling, if you didn't have that ceiling, they would have figured out a way of getting in. And like for me, it's a very interesting film, but one is just for the fact that
It's
it
more
was
horror.
just one creature that just decimated everything. It
It's like-
wasn't
like
a swarm
original,
of them.
Original Predator, innit? It's like the one guy.
Yeah, the
hunting you down.
one person hunting you
Yeah.
down, but it's also because it was who's the director of Aliens? Is that fucking really famous
Ridley
guy?
Scott.
Yeah, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, the first
And Ridley Scott's cinematography and the music just went really well. But the music in the second one, the sound, the
Is it Ridley
sounds in the
is it
second one are
Ridley the
more
actress?
scarier. No, Ridley is the name of the character, but
character, innit?
but the director was Ridley
Director,
Scott.
one. Ridley, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Ridley.
Yeah, that would be for me watching that as a kid. Definitely, that was like.
That was good. That was a good horror.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I would watch that one again recently because I think I wouldn't find it too like that's more like an action type of horror, but it's that type of horror where it's like that space horror, like a bit like Horizon, and again,
It's suspenseful.
Gives you
really
that
suspenseful.
crazy-
It's
yeah.
definitely horror.
I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that.
It's definitely a horror film.
Yeah, because
Mm.
Aliens used to be good,
Yeah.
man. And then I mean,
What about
obviously
Prometheus?
she got old.
Fucking bunch of crap. To be honest with you.
That wasn't scary. Was
You
it?
know, the second Prometheus is so freaking confusing, man. Bloody hell.
OT3.
I think he wants
Wait,
to do
they
a
made-
thord one.
they
He
made
wants
a
to do a
part
third
two.
one.
Yeah.
isn't it?
They're in a part
He
two.
wants to do a
Prometheus?
third one.
I think
Well,
I've
he's done
seen
that new TV series called Raised by Wolves, which is it feels like it's a Prometheus film.
Hmm.
It's so similar
Okay.
in a way, but just not related. But if you watch the whole of it, you'll be like, oh, he just tried to make Prometheus a TV show.
You know what the problem with those two films was that fans badly wanted to understand where the aliens came from, and the
Yeah.
problem was that he delivered this idea of the builders, but then in both films there was no deliverance. Like the second one was a vendetta mission for David, the android,
Yeah.
and then the first one was like, let's go and try and find them. But the ending
this
of it ending of it wanted more, and then the second one was like,
Just a
this
mess.
shit.
It's just a
Yeah,
mess.
it's a mess. Like
I don't
think
remember
he-
much of the second one. I don't think I watched it, but I did watch the first one.
I wouldn't go out of my way to watch that film. If it's on television, watch it.
How did
I
they
wouldn't.
make
I
a,
wouldn't.
how did they make a sequel to a prequel?
They had to because a lot of people
Sorry,
wanted
that
the
was
explanation.
It's
Yeah.
still timeline, man. There's
Was
a
it
massive
was
timeline
it
gap.
still based in the prequel to Aliens?
It's the
Yeah,
universe.
it's in the
Yeah,
timeline.
yeah,
it's
it's
in
the
that
same,
universe.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
Predators are in
canon.
that universe.
You know,
Predators in
yeah.
that same
the
universe. as
actual
well.
the actual creators, the creatures that they created, right? It reminded me of that boss in Street Fighter 4, the one with the stomach.
Seth.
Who said
What you call
Seth?
it?
Nothing like Seth.
Did you just fucking link? Did you just link
Examine the
aliens?
The
to
one, you know
Street
that
Fighter?
alien that's like
In his stomach. It's not a mixed up stomach alien.
I don't know. It's like it looks like Prometheus alien, and then he's having a alien baby.
No, it's a martial arts symbol. Yin and yang. That's what's on his belly.
I'm in shock. We just had aliens linked to Street Fighter somehow. Never.
It looks
never
like it.
like-
Wow.
Hey,
Wow, you might as well say that Ridley Scott is like M. Bison in it. She does cycle crushes on the bloody aliens like halfway through the film. Like, this is
Cycle
Hello.
Crusher.
That-
I'm going to try and pick horror films that aren't typical horror.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Yeah, I
go
love those type of
for... I'm going to go for... only because I think it started a new sort of genre-ish almost. I'm going to go with the original Scream. I don't know
Oh
if it's a
man,
jump
you just
scare.
picked my number one.
that's not number one. Ah, shit.
Oh shit!
Alright, first
Yeah,
of
go,
all,
yeah, go, go.
first of
quickly
all,
think of another one.
how are you
Yeah,
picking,
go on, yeah,
how
go
are you
on.
picking that as your number 3, Shah?
No, go. No, you can say
There's
it's
others
it.
out there.
Many, yeah.
There's others out there. But yeah, Scream only because it came out and it was sort of a teenagey sort of thing, and it's about a killer that you don't know who it is, so it proper engages you with the film because you're constantly trying to work out who it could be. Do you know? And I think it was one of the first ones that I personally watched where it was like that, and at the same time it was a bit gruesome. It was a bit gruesome, and yeah, these teenagers, man, they thought they were all it, and they were just getting killed one by one. But I think that started off a lot of other films to follow suit. this sort of teenage sort of horror. Another one was like I know what you did last summer. I think.
Yeah.
After that, a few other ones. But...
Shut up, man! You're destroying all my flipping.
Scream was good because like
I know you did last summer.
Really good. The characters, the script was really good. The opening, everybody remembers because that was what with Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, the opening scene.
That's what everyone remembers. Like, it set the pace.
Making the popcorn.
Yeah. Like.
Wait. That's the one where they had that nerdy kid basically telling you don't follow this rule. You don't run upstairs, and then he's telling them when everyone's sitting there watching TV, you turn around, you don't do this, and then you stab and kill from the back, innit? I love that film. By the way, that's my number one. By the way, Scream 1, and basically I put in brackets 2, 3, and 4.
That's yours as well. Right.
2, 3, and 4 as well.
Yeah,
but
said that
because
first.
even like after the trilogy, they went back and they brought back Courtney Cox for the fourth one, and they smashed it because they did a story where again it's somehow linked by some sort of
I think it got shit, man.
They linked it somehow. No. You know they're gonna make another one as well in it, but
they are.
After the first one, I think.
It got bad. Still bad.
All three was pretty good, man. But Shah, you know what you were saying, like this type of genre. I call this it's a slasher.
It's
and I absolutely love slasher horror.
Wes Craven was the one who made it come back. Anyway, he was the original horror guy anyway for slashers. This was his comeback, and he did well.
With slashers, right? I could comfortably watch them a lot more better than if I was to watch a horror film based on a supernatural ghosts and like supernatural demons and enemies like that. Those type of horror films, I'm always literally on the edge of my seat, and it's like my entire body's like tense. And I'm constantly like that throughout the entire film until they keep on dropping the jump scare and then move on to the next one, and I'm sort of like creeping up to being tense. Whereas with a slasher, you get less of that. It's more enjoyable. I could actually enjoy that type of horror, and I'm always like, please don't kill my guy. And then he died. I'm like, fuck's sake. I know who the famous guy. I know who's going to be the main one that's going to be alive to the end. But the question is, how is she going to get out of this situation? I need to work that out because she's going to eventually get out of it. It's always down to the last person. But
the good thing about that movie is everybody who watched it never guessed who would end up being.
They did such a good trick, man. Like, obviously, we're gonna talk about the ending because it's a really old film. But the fact that it was 2, that was freaking hilarious. Because even when they found out and they were like both like giggling at each other and stabbing each other for fun,
and
he's like, dude, I think I'm fucking dying. Oh God, I loved it so much, man.
That bit at the end,
the other guy was Billy in it, and it was just so fucking funny. And he was like, because of like the story behind it about their parents and what they did. I just fucking loved that film so much. It was
good, man.
It was so good, and also it's one of those films that is like engraved in my mind as being the classic '90s type of slashers. We grew up with that, right? I absolutely love that, and I don't think many things can beat that.
Yeah, generation.
And whilst we're talking about that, I might as well talk about the I Know We Did Last Summer because that was my number 4.
Why?
I Know We Did My Last Summer, and I still know what I did last summer. Scream was my number 1, by the way, but I Know We Did Last Summer was my other one. Basically, that was like the other variation of the same type of genre.
I feel like saying my number 1 now before someone takes it.
Just say it.
We'll come back to it. We'll just talk about these because
basically, I Know We Did Last Summer was if you get Scream and Candyman and smash it together. That's basically what it was.
I don't think I've seen Candyman. Remind me what that's.
Have you not seen Candyman? That's a fucking scary film.
Scary.
Candyman was you look in the mirror, say Candyman 3 times, and he'll come up. And he used the hook as his weapon.
Fuck, that sounds very scary. That's like playing Bloody Mary in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. I still believe that crap, man. I was like, don't say that.
You're getting a remake by Jordan Peele, who did Get Out and Us.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing that.
Okay.
It's going to be because he's doing it. It's going to be very interesting to see how he brings Candyman back again. Because that was when I first watched it. It was just like, what the fuck is this? And then especially with the hook and the murders and how gruesome they were, you were like, as a kid, you were just like, I really hope that I don't go into the mirror and then just fucking Candyman's behind me. I know
And
the
we
kids.
didn't have memes.
Not
We lucky
behind-
we didn't have memes back then
Yeah,
because I know Last Summer has so many memes because it's so bad. And it basically number two was any excuse to get
Yeah, they continued it, obviously. Like, how did they appear on a fucking
Then
island?
for her to show her cleavage and wave her tits around, basically. That was number two.
But the fact that they were, like, stuck in an island and trying to get out reminded me a bit of that Friday the 13th game.
Oh, Jennifer Love. It's Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yeah. In number two,
Freddie
out in the rain,
Jr. was
running around. Like, it's just, there's any excuse for you to see her cleavage in number two.
Yeah.
That was literally what it
Man,
was.
that's some good actors in it though. Sarah Michelle
Freddie-
Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr.,
Yeah.
Ryan Philippe.
So
They were like the team.
I know we did last summer, man. The first one, I love that concept where they basically, ran the person over, and then they basically tried to bury it for like an entire summer, and then obviously, like, I know we did last summer, and it was like a sort of like a blackmail type of story, and this guy kept on showing up with a fucking hook in it. He's a fisherman.
He's a fisherman.
Yeah.
The first one, he had the same thing in it, that
Yeah,
raincoat jacket.
You're in a fisherman jacket, yeah.
Oh my god, now Hook is just come out and kick your ass. I fucking love that film. That's one of those classics that's in my, like...
You need to watch
I grew
Candyman.
up with that. I think Candyman, I need to watch that if that's a...
I don't think you'd be
during
able to
those
watch
times.
Candyman. I don't think you'd be able to do it.
And then you put a new one.
But I love
Yeah.
films like that.
What
Like,
are you watching tonight?
if someone... Sharp.
Omen.
Like,
Oh no shit!
it's like... If you're telling me that Candyman's like from that era and from that type of slasher genre, it's like saying... Oh yeah,
So the 90s.
we've all seen Scream, and then say Shah says he hasn't seen Scream. I'd be like, you missed out on something, like a major
Yeah.
thing in your life. Like,
I haven't seen
But
Scream.
I would watch it straight away.
so that's
Yeah.
Do
why.
the same.
Fuck
Hey,
off.
the
No,
big
I've not
horror
seen
fan
Scream.
watched Candyman. Candyman's well known as a
Sharp,
horror fan.
you set it up, yeah. I'll come round yours because I'm not gonna watch it for myself. You got that OLED fucking 17-inch TV, yeah? Immersive shit, yeah.
Wait,
Actually,
I
wait.
think
I want
number three.
me to drive home because I'd be too shook. If I look
You're
at
going to stay over.
if I look at my rearview mirror, fucking, I'll see him, man. No, fuck
You know what the problem is? Is the actor that they picked for Candyman was the perfect choice. That guy
Yeah.
looked
Yeah, he
shit
was
scary
good.
as well.
Look
Yeah,
at you, yeah.
that was the killer. It wasn't even like, fuck man, I'm scared of Candyman. It's like, I'm scared of seeing this guy.
So that's the whole Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Candyman genre. Hassan, if you want to talk about your number one, which was Scream, obviously, anything else you want to add to that? I fucking
No,
love that
it's
film.
original. It's the vibe, like it's just the biggest film. Full stop. Everyone, I was in, I think, sixth form at the time, so like everybody was talking about it. There was not one person who weren't talking about Scream.
I think
So,
like even the fact that the spoof films were like originated from Scream, the original
Yeah.
1 and 2, where they had their Scream guy's mask.
Scary
And,
movie,
and
yeah.
remember when he was laughing, he was like he changed his face to a
he got high. He got high. Yeah.
and it's a high. But when he's laughing, he's like his mouth
They
becomes-
abused those films. Though.
I
proper.
fucking love that. It was so funny. Like the original Scream, they took that concept and they pretty much made. What was that film called? The spoof film.
Scary movie.
Scary movie.
Yeah, Scary Movies 1 and 2 pretty much had that Scream mask like engraved. It was like the thing that
What did
kickstarted
that
it.
end on?
Even
What
then,
did
I
that
loved
end
it.
on?
I think
And
there was,
it's
a,
good.
there was like a
I think they made
fourth
it
one
four.
with Charlie Sheen in it, and I think I watched that a little bit.
Oh, we're number two.
I say we're number 2. Lovejoy, what was your number 3?
My number 3, yeah, it's a weird film. Like, it's not actually a horror film, but the thing is,
The
for
Shining.
me, when I watched it, it fucking shook me to shit, man. Like, I could not sleep well after watching this film.
You watched it when you
I
were
got
9,
very-
isn't it? That's why.
No. I didn't watch it when I was 9. I watched it when I was a teen. But the problem was, it was just too realistic for me. Like, I just didn't like the idea of it. But then again, now you look back at it and you watch it, you think it's shit.
Drop the
Like,
name,
it's
drop
not that.
the name.
I'm gonna drop the name, but some of you are gonna be like, it's not a horror film. Signs.
What?
Which one?
Signs.
The Alien.
Science.
Ah,
With Mel
okay,
Gibson.
okay.
Oh,
Signs.
okay. But there's like a lot of, there was a lot of suspense. It's kind of like a horror. You could get
No,
it.
but the end scene was what killed me off.
The
When
bit-
he
the
goes
bit-
to
the video,
the window, when he goes to the
book.
window,
Oh,
and
and
from the
that
window,
thing.
he sees the crickets. You hear the noise, and the cricket noise just ends.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then at that point, you know that they're about to attack. That was just like, you're like, fuck. Like, what would you do in that situation? Because you know that something is coming from the cornfields about to attack you.
Yeah.
And
No,
their
it
speed, and they're so quick, they're so fast, they're invisible. Like, the bit that was suspenseful was when his daughter goes, there's an alien outside, there's a monster outside my window.
Oh my god!
And then when he looks outside the window and you see that thing, you're like, what would I do in that situation? And at that time, I was like, I would be.
At the window, I can't remind me.
You see the alien basically on the chimney stack, lean out, like standing there.
Oh
in full view,
Fuck!
and it's just like
Oh
you're
my
like.
god, that was so scary.
Even now, it's like goosebumps. It's like,
what ruined it for me was like rewatching it. I'm never as scared because their weakness was water.
Yeah, but that was the
I
thing
know
about
that.
it was that it was such a simple weakness. But the thing is, it's true though. Like alien species could invade this planet, and they could be fucking like the vulnerability could be Doritos that you could throw Doritos at them and they would die. Like it could be something so dumb. It could be something so dumb that it's unbelievable. Like they're scared of dogs.
One of the best bits in that film was when they were replaying that videotape, and then they were analyzing the cornfield, right?
Yeah.
Did you catch it? And then suddenly he just goes boom.
It's like,
I'm like, fucking hell! That shit just fucking walked out. And it was like one of those like those footages where they've like, I've discovered Bigfoot. Here's the video evidence, and then everyone's watching it, and then slowly they see it, and it's like, what the fuck was that? What just happened? The main strong point of that film was the fact that they never showed nothing, because what I find now is that a lot of horror films, if they can prolong the initial sighting of the actual whatever they're trying to make scary, like the Babadook, or if it's an alien or whatever it is, if they could prolong it, their anticipation is way more scarier than the actual being. Now, like it's like films like, I don't know, this is not in my list, but like The Mist. Like in that film, the fact that they never showed nothing, but they kept having little bits of things coming and taking you was freaky.
What was it called? It Follows was really good.
I haven't seen that one.
It follows. I've seen bits of it, and it's a really good film.
Basically,
I like the idea.
It's not super scary. Go watch it. But the premise is, it was a spirit that attacks you through an STI. You passed on the curse through the main character passed on the curse through sex.
Yeah,
and it's how it passes transmission around the town, and it's really, really cool. Like at first you think this is ridiculous when you hear the original like plot, but the way it's presented in the movie, you are really engaged and like so it's really really good.
Fucking mother of all STDs, man. What have you got? I've got a ghost following me.
Trust. Like you in your head, you think it's not going to be a good film initially. I didn't think so, but then when you watch it, it's brilliant. Like it's actually really well done.
But loved it. Like the end of Signs, I actually got quite annoyed because I was like, "Is that it?" I was sort of like, "Where the fuck was the actual alien?" Because they never actually fully showed it.
They do. No, they do.
No, when they were in the house and they were fighting it, it was like a shadow. It was in a distance. It was like blurry.
No, in the house you see it.
Yeah, like it was like dark, and it was like
because the skin. No, because their skin allowed them to basically like an octopus blend into the surrounding,
into the background.
So it wasn't very easy to see them. But in the end, you see the one that he cut the finger off on come back to get revenge on him. But the thing was, it was an interesting. It was literally all about Mel Gibson and Signs. That's the only way to really see it. Like he saw Signs throughout the entire film, but the suspense part of it. The suspense part of it and the realism of it is what killed me off the most.
The director himself, M. Shalom Night.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, if you see his films, they basically follow the same concept. A lot of his film. After watching Signs, I was like, I know what I'm going to expect from his next film, and I'm not going to watch it.
His next film was shit, though. The Village.
You're waiting so much.
The Village.
His next
And the
film
one
was
after
shit.
that, The Happening. Everybody can do it.
Yeah, but it was a good journey. Again, like, I'm glad they didn't show too much of the alien, because sometimes a lot of horror films get ruined by when you see the alien 2 or wherever the enemy is. You see them too early on, and then you find that it's just some shit, artificial, fake creature, and then you're like, oh, is that it? Then you're not scared no more, because when they're coming up to spook that person, you know what that idiot is. It looks like a clown. Unless it was like the guy, unless it was the clown from It. Nah, that guy is fucking scary,
Honorable mention. The remake was really good.
Which one?
Of It.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah,
my-
yeah.
First one,
Okay,
No,
I
but
haven't
it's
seen
really
part
good.
two. I haven't seen part
Yeah,
two yet.
That was a really good. That was a really good comeback. I was expecting it to be weak, but it was actually good.
That was free.
actually, weirdly enough, but both of the It films are actually my second choice.
Do you
Oh,
remember,
no.
Like,
do you remember that
yeah.
picture that was going around, or that guy took a picture in the cinema with behind them there was like literally a clown with the balloons sitting down in the cinema. He came down in the cinema
No
and watched
way.
it. Yeah, with a helium balloon so it floats, and he sat down in the
Oh,
back
my
row,
God.
and then there's that picture waiting around social media, and I was like, that guy's a legend. Because
He is a legend.
if I saw that, I'd fucking die. I'd run away. And I'd forget this ticket. I'm gonna fucking leave this cinema. You can have my money.
Fuck this! I'm out.
Oh my god, he followed
Shit.
me. Oh,
So
so
what number are
scary.
we on
Ah.
then? My third one's a French film called Raw.
Nah.
It's
You told me
about
about this.
Seen that.
cannibalism.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really messed up, and it's so realistic. The reason why
Nasty
it's
guy.
effective, the reason why it's effective as horror is that cannibalism is addictive in its form, and like it's done so realistically, it feels like it could be like anyone who is addicted to like human meat will like while out on you, like bite you up, and like it's
shit.
really well filmed. The way they film it is really intense.
Is
Is it like a
subtitles?
proper film or like a documentary style?
It's done like a proper film.
Okay.
What's it called?
Raw.
I have to check that out.
And I mean that's the main fear of it. Like when you go through the transformation with the main character, and like it's just every moment you're thinking, what?
The thing is, it's French. The thing is, it's like because it's in another not to sound bad or nothing. It's obviously a European movie, so it doesn't stick with the ideals of what you have in like Hollywood cinema and the tropes and everything as well. So the boundaries get pushed far more in that. That'd be interesting to watch though. Because European horror movies sometimes are just on a fucking completely
Freaky as
different
hell,
level.
exactly. So that was my
Oh,
third.
nice.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Interesting.
Um,
All right, so
my
number one?
I think I've still got to do my third.
Yeah.
My third one is again it's just pretty old. It's sort of horror, but it's very suspenseful, I think. And this is going back in the days, and it's Jaws.
Oh, sick.
Wait, the
one.
shark-
Yeah.
the shark one. The shark one.
Because that's one of the
Yeah,
ones that
Come on, man.
I wouldn't have called a horror movie, but I was scared shitless watching that the
Shark
first time.
Tales, yeah.
Do you remember the scene when the leg, when they're in the jack and just see the leg like fall through the water with the trainer on?
Yeah.
That was
Oh
that.
my.
As a kid, it was like I don't want to ever go to the sea.
No, but it's even that what the fuck moment of the kid who's floating on a mat and he just gets consumed. What the fuck?
That's a good
Okay.
pick, man.
More than anything, right? It's the storyline. It's quite slow, and you're like, what the hell? They're just in a boat, and it's just a shark. But they film it in a way where it's like, no, mate, it's not just a shark. You don't get into the water. And the best thing about the film is the bloody music.
Oh,
When you hear
brilliant.
that sound come in, you're like,
Yeah.
shit.
I think I've done 4 then. If everyone's on
Oh, I
4,
think
then
I've
I've
done
done
4
4.
then.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our last one then. This was my number 2. Obviously, Scream being number 1. I'll talk about number 2 then. So this is my final film. This was like the
Hope it's
ending.
not my one, man.
The ending especially just literally just floored me. And throughout the film, you're just wondering what the fuck is going on because you literally don't know what's
Okay.
happening. The original number 1, Saw.
Oh, yeah.
When that guy got out the floor, what?
Yeah.
He was like, I was like, no, this guy
I
was.
don't know because I liked gore, but I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
more gore. This one.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't see it as a horror. If you get what I mean.
So
Yeah.
So
I'd
the
agree
thing
with
about this film, yeah, again, like like slashers and this type of horror, they're not like direct, like spiritual,
Yeah.
like like the Orphanage and those type of horror films, because those ones I do enjoy them. I find them to be a bit too, like a bit far fetched, right? Whereas these ones, you can sort of see the realism in it. Like you can see this being more of a actual,
Very good.
as in not
See,
being supernatural.
I had one to do with gore as well, but I thought, I'm going to avoid the gore, and that was 7.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
Seven
If
was
you look at
like-
I looked at the
But-
100 horror
That's a
films
classic
of
for
all
me,
time.
Seven.
That one is a
Yeah.
classic. That one's really high. It is fucking.
My goal one was the Evil Dead remake, but I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
Evil Dead. I like
The
the
remake was
That's
really
like a
good.
zombie film, isn't it?
Yeah, it's it's more about like
Yeah.
the devil's book, the Necronomicon.
I mean, there's a bunch of zombie films you can go in, but again, that becomes a bit more gore.
I like the third one, the most evil.
Seven
Dead.
was-
This is a
seven
boom.
was-
This is a boomstick. You get it from Kmart.
Nah, but
Yeah, but the
the thing
remake
is, right?
well, because they turned it into. Obviously, they used a little teeny sort of style, but the gore in there was turned up, like, and it was convincing.
Yeah.
They did a good job. They did-
Of Saw 1, 2, and 3 were like, I think the way I would say where it should have ended, and it was like the most diverse. Like, I think I can't remember much about 2, but I remember part 3 being like a massive mansion, and there's like a bunch of them. 10 of them needs to escape, so it made it a bit more different. And then after that, they lost their way. They were just basically
Chaos.
it was just a
Yeah.
cash grab, right? People were dying for no reason, like. But the original film, right? If you think about it, Shah, the original one doesn't actually have crazy gore like the newer ones. I think like as you become more
yeah.
desensitized to it, they have to add up the ante to the point
Yeah,
where it was just
It's not cartoony, man.
it was just fucking
It's like Fast
nasty.
and Furious,
Like
man.
you know,
Yeah.
It's
It got
all
quite-
action every
into
episode,
space,
man.
innit?
man. It was like an Acme weapons. It was like fucking
mate, it was crazy. Like the bit
Looney
where
Tunes style, isn't it?
yeah. It was literally that. I remember there was a guy who got twisted in the later ones. He got twisted physically,
Oh,
and it was like it was just and when you're watching it because it's
the
quite
woman,
CG, you're like
the
okay.
jaw when it opens up, I could feel it. Like when he cut his leg off, I can feel it.
Yeah,
I
the
literally
first
felt
one.
like my leg was falling off. There was this, but the thing is, after it got crazy, like I've seen pretty much most of them up until I think even the last one, and then they're gonna make a remake again. I don't think I'm gonna watch
yeah,
it, but I've seen all of them once at least. But every time I watched the newer ones, I was like, why did I watch this? Why did I come here? Because I'm literally just like this, like watching it. It was like,
See,
you
I
know
think-
when she put her hand through the spiky glass to pick the key, and then she
Yeah.
pulled it back, but the spikes of the glass were like stuck, and then it basically pulled away the camera, and she went, ah! That's all you heard. I was like, fuck my hand! Oh, it's just too much. They took it to a new level. I literally can't stand. Like I'm like really cringy when it comes to like gore, right? So obviously most of that film I watched behind my eyes, but Saw 1 had a lot more storyline, and it was
Yeah.
more based on the fact that why is this guy here? Remember? Like the
I
guy
like
that
that.
was
yeah,
stuck,
yeah,
I like
and then
that
the other
one.
guy, they discovered each other, and they were like, "You fucker, you've been following me, innit?" And their
Yeah.
story, and then the fact that they're chained up, and like, how the fuck did they escape?
oh, then there's like then some bathroom or
And
something.
they look at the
like that,
camera,
yeah.
and then they showed it when he got kidnapped, and then there's like the camera, like the guy with the pig mask. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
fucking, that was horror, yeah. But then it's like, why are they stuck in this dingy toilet? Right up to the point where the music comes in, dun, dun, and I was like, something's gonna happen.
To be honest,
The guy
I
gets
really like
up,
the first
he's
Saw.
walking without his fucking leg, and he's
Yeah,
trying to get
same,
out.
same. Only line number one.
I'll
That's
be
it.
back. I'll be back. To just stay
I
alive.
think that's the thing with
I
that
fucking
series.
loved
One
it,
is
man.
one was good, but then when that series grows, right, it only goes into one or two directions. Either
Yeah.
it sustains itself and it goes really well, or you basically turn into Fast and Furious and just start producing
Yeah.
them one
that
after the
was from
other.
number
Yeah.
two. From number 2, it became Fast and Furious. It became
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
I
Too many
would
films.
say
That's
2
why I-
and 3 had a bit of variety. You know the bit where they can only do the apprentice once, because I think after he died, the fact that there's an apprentice that takes over is believable. But then I think the last 5 films after that was like an apprentice. I'm like, fuck off. No one's gonna be following this guy that much, and they can't bring him back in those films. Like they brought him back in sort of like some tape form, and I can appreciate that for like the 4th film. But then it's like when he comes back, it's like it's not even him no more. It's like this guy was dying for his sins, right? Before it was originally like it's a game because you don't take your life seriously. It's gonna bite you, right? Then the newer ones, this guy is dying for his sins, right? But by him doing whatever his action is, he's killing someone else. And then it's like, what does that guy die for then? For his
seems
fault?
ridiculous,
Because that
mate.
guy
That's
didn't
not
die for
bad
his
enough.
sins. He's
Bad
just there because of this fucker.
They run out of storylines.
I don't
It's
want it,
like,
yeah, I don't want
it's,
it.
like, it's like your sins are gonna create this guy's death, but that guy had nothing to do with it. So why the fuck is he here in the first place? That doesn't make no sense. The fundamentals of the fucking, the pillar of this
Joke.
story
Wait,
of why he
but that's
did
the
it
number one though.
was
Yeah.
That's why number 1 was really good, because I think they kept it limited to just 2 people in it. It was just a doctor and him.
Yeah.
You know that doctor in the very first one, they brought him back. In like
For
the-
what?
No,
For
no.
number 6 or 7.
Basically, number 8. I think they went to number 7 or 8, right? The very last film, up until the point where they've announced a remake now, but up until the last film, I think it was number 7 or 8, the original Doctor from the very first one is basically the new apprentice. He took over. And he's a lot fatter.
Of course
Yeah.
he did. Of course.
I
After
was
losing
like-
his leg, he
I
had to
was
put
like,
other people through his shit,
what?
didn't he?
I was like, what? That's just so fucking dumb. Like, you know,
Makes sense.
like they had really crazy twists. Like every ending of the films, right, had like
Was stupid.
had a crazy twist that basically made you recheck everything. That's my last film. Are you
Alright.
guys on your last
Cool.
films?
Mine was the Japanese Ring, the first one.
I had that as my. I had that. As
I
my
would never
second,
watch
but
that.
I
That is just
changed it,
way
but
too scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like the Japanese
I've
ring.
seen.
Because it was the same as Scream, where it took off and everyone like it created that buzz. In
Yeah.
the same way.
I've seen.
So wait, the new Ring is shit. The older ones are the better ones. You should watch them. That's
How many have they
basically what it is.
made?
Yeah.
Have they made more
I
than
think
3?
it's like 4. They did a reboot as well in Japan. Went a bit
Fuck.
crazy. They even did a versus. It was like Sadako versus The Grudge.
Whoa.
One.
Ah,
Yeah,
Freddy,
oh, shit.
Freddy versus Jason
It
shit,
was
yeah.
in 4DX. It was in 4DX as well.
I'm surprised none of
But
you
the
guys.
first
I'm
ring-
surprised
How
none
do
of
you
you
do
guys.
versus? How do you do the Grudge Monster versus? How do you even get them in the same? Like,
4DX.
yeah, what the fuck? Someone has to watch the videotape, and then someone has to do something
Someone's
else. To
yeah.
That was.
Yeah, I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to watch it, but it
Wait,
seems like
is
something
it the
that
ring?
happened.
Is that the one where they you get a phone call that says 7 days?
You watch the video.
After you watch the video, yeah.
Yeah, that's the ring, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I'm
What
thinking
a
about the
freaky!
sequel.
That was
The
such a
sequel.
freaky concept.
This
Man. I
versus.
fucking love that, man.
This
Yeah,
versus
phone
thing
call.
must be so interesting.
And the video and the
like, you watch the
music.
video.
Fuck.
You watch the video as she comes out. As she comes out the
Yeah.
screen, you be like, "Bitch,
What
I got the Grudge Monster. Deal with it."
The baby, the Grudge baby. Yeah.
So, you know, like when you watch a versus film, right? If it's something that you've seen growing up, then it makes more
Yeah.
sense to you, and you can sort of
Freddy
like
versus
you can
Jason.
sort of laugh at it. The thing is, yeah, with Freddy vs Jason, I never watched the originals. I only watched the, you know, like the remakes and the newer ones, like, you know, when they do like Freddy
Yeah.
and Jason comes back for random stuff. You know that they could just make it cash
Yeah.
grab, like Alien vs Predator, right? And
Oh, that was just bad. That was the worst film made.
yeah, after
Yeah.
watching
Yeah.
those ones, you then go back and watch the originals, and then it's like you don't have the same sort of appreciation. But I could imagine like Freddy vs Jason, Freddy and Jason, their own films, they were quite something back in the day. I think they made a new Jason film where they basically went back to the roots.
Jason
Halloween.
X or something like that? Or
Yeah,
Halloween?
Halloween.
No, Jason X one of those shit ones. I think they made a new one where I think it was like a case of the original director came back and they did like a origins type of story where they brought him
Wasn't
back.
that Halloween?
It was actually quite recent. When I say recent,
I
it's
think
probably the
Jamie Lee
last
Curtis is
last
Jamie
3
Lee
years.
Yeah,
Curtis
it's
is in that
Halloween.
as well.
It's Halloween, yeah.
Halloween, I
Halloween,
think, yeah. And I watched it, and that was the first time where I felt like, oh wow, this is actually a lot more, like
It's good. It's really
authentic.
good.
And that's
Yeah,
only
it's good.
because the newer ones where they make all these stupid crossovers, right? They just basically make them look stupid. They're just like completely
Yeah.
fake, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this one, they paid it back to like legit stuff, and it was like literally he was going into people's houses and ripping their heads out and squashing them with his toes. He was just stepping on their skull, and they just. It was like he was extremely powerful, and I was like, okay, this is quite fun. It's like
Well,
it's
it's a versus
scary,
match. You gotta
but
play
it was
on
Yeah,
quite
it is
fun.
a versus.
Yeah. And the verses, well, I can't deal with that. But that was one of those franchises where I never grew up watching it, so I watched it later.
I did.
I was sort of
Yeah, yeah.
surprised if you guys have seen those ones back in the day.
Yeah. I was a big horror fan back then.
But
So, yeah.
Freddy, and then the
That's
Night
scary,
Nightmare on
man.
Elm Street. Oof.
That
That would have been
That was-
scary if you were a
that was
kid, man.
scary.
Because that's like your nightmare,
Yeah.
isn't it?
It made it really soft when they made Dream Warriors. The Dream Warriors one made it a bit more softer because they could fight back.
Dream
It was
Warriors.
I think that's
Yeah.
what.
That sounds
I
like
think
a
it's number
sort of-
4.
Second one, fourth.
sounds
Yeah,
like a TV
yeah,
show
yeah.
or something. Dream Warriors.
Yeah, it wasn't as it wasn't as good. It killed
It
it.
sounds like Power Rangers. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Bad Beetleborgs. Cool. Is everyone
So was
everyone last
Power Rangers versus Nightmare on Elm Street.
that was mine.
versus Freddy
Huh?
What's your last film?
It, man, the remakes, both of them.
Yeah.
I think both, like, because I've seen both. I think both of them in their own unique ways were scary. I think the first one, there were bits and parts of it were definitely scary. What I will give a shout out to is the casting was fucking on point for both of them.
Perfect.
I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen the second
I
one.
haven't seen the
the
second
first
one
one.
yet. I'm too scared.
The second one, I won't ruin it, but the second one, there are bits in there where you literally see, like what Mac was saying in other films, things happen in the background, and it just blows your mind. Because in the original It, you don't notice this, but when there's a scene where
so sad with that kid, man.
one of the kids is getting
I
beat
hope
the
he
shit
comes
out of.
back. He never does.
It's actually in the wall. He's in the poster looking at them as they're talking, and you don't notice it.
Just the
No,
eyeballs,
it's-
and it moves.
Yeah.
No. You can see his face. It's hidden in the poster, but the lore of it was really good as well. Like the lore of it was
Yeah, when I went
amazing.
back to the original posters and you see like he's been there everywhere, everywhere.
Oh,
in
really?
history,
Yeah.
He's always been there. Like he never actually. He's like he's timeless. His age.
He's
Been-
done, but
if you look at his picture, he's in every single picture. It's like he's one of those crazy
I
moments.
think he's in, and then there's bits in that where the scariest bit was when they were doing the slideshow, and then the slide started going out of control, and then basically see the balloon,
going, yeah.
balloon go down, and then you see his face, and then like, come out of the
my
fucking
God.
balloon. We were just sitting there like,
Fucking hell.
fuck, and I was like, yeah, this is like, for me, it was really, I think both were really good.
One of the,
bad,
okay,
not bad.
let me tell you guys about this. One of this crazy scene in I watched it in the cinemas. Do you guys remember the film where it was a bunch of kids recording them killing their family? The attic, and they find a bunch of original, like those projector type of reels or films, and it's like a projector, and it shows like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
video, and the video is like has no sound, but it's basically of the kid who gets possessed by this enemy.
What was that one about the box?
The box.
It was a box, the BG box or something like that.
Ooh, Ouija films are good.
Oh,
by the way.
the Ouija box, yeah.
The Ouija board.
Because you know that box actually exists in real
Conjuring
life.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah, the box actually it got sold on eBay, and the guy who bought it, he had a terrible like thing with it because he had a lot of problems with it. And then people say that box actually contains a jinn that was caught during the Second World War, and it's in that box.
Yo,
And
yo,
then
yo.
he hid the box. He legit hid the box.
That's when the shit gets scary.
Dog, stop, man! I'm by myself this weekend, yeah.
Yeah, next person.
Don't.
Yeah, it's like
Alright.
a chart. You need to work.
I'll go to that one.
You're fucking crazy.
Think about this.
All right. Look, I found it. So I googled
What? You
Insidious.
found the box?
No, you
It's in your house.
fuck
What are you doing, man?
Okay,
Upstairs, he found the boxes in front of him.
pick it here. Okay, look, Insidious was a good film. I remember that one, right? I
Okay.
think that was based on some good stuff. This was the fucked up one where I watched, I think, 1 or 2 parts of it, and I just thought it's called this film here, Sinister.
Oh, okay.
That was a good
I
film.
haven't seen that.
I
though.
didn't watch it.
Hey, who's seen that?
I
I've
didn't watch
seen
it.
bits of
You know.
it.
No.
So that clown face guy, yeah, is basically the guy that's inside this videotape, and essentially he's like some sort of a being that not possesses. He basically takes he talks to the kid, and then this one kid goes around killing his entire family, films it, his mom and dad, his brother and sisters. He kills them all in some gruesome act, records it, and then I think he dies themselves, or he goes with them. The spirit takes them, and I think at the end of that film, they go up to the attic, and then all the ghosts of all the kids that's been taken by this guy is basically sitting there. Like there's about 10 of them in a ghost, and they're all watching the video. And then in the video, you see that ghost thing, that clown thing, yeah,
The clown,
basically
yeah.
in the projector, and then the camera comes up to it, and then he basically goes through the screen.
Did you watch it in 3D?
I watched it in cinema. It was 3D.
Was it in
It felt
3D?
like
Okay.
3D, and I fucking died.
When 3D existed.
I felt like my soul had left my body. I literally jumped up. I was like, "Fuck!" My stupid friend is fucking annoying. He's just laughing in it, and I'm like, "This guy, man, doesn't feel no emotion." I was fucking dead.
Maybe he's just like he's not scared as you. Yeah.
I was fucking dead.
That's what it is.
That was one of some crazy moment. But the film itself, I don't like it because it's like kids killing their family. It's some fucked up shit.
My last movie. Obviously, there's tons of amazing horror films out there. I was gonna pick Bird Box, that Netflix one. I thought stylistically was really good. And, it was something different.
That was shit.
Nah, it wasn't shit.
That's
No,
no. It was good. That was a good film.
It's something different. It was something different.
Well, the one that you can't see.
Yeah, you got to close your eyes. If you see him, you go crazy.
That was the worst film
But
ever.
the film, I thought was, for me by far number one, and that's The Sixth Sense. The Sixth Sense, because
Classic.
you're watching
Oh,
it.
jeez, I forgot all about that.
You're gone for proper classic there. That's like original OG.
Yeah, but mate,
That was mad.
Twist.
You know what? You know what? In my memory, there's
Wow.
a scene.
Can't show.
Yeah.
What
The
was
twist,
amazing
and at the
about
same time, it was the scene in the tent. It was the scene in the tent that got me in that with the girl in
Yeah.
cold breath.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, gee.
so many things about that film. That was
Freaky
scary.
hell, man.
You know,
I
when
see
the
dead
mother
people
was
like,
like,
fucking,
"Oh!"
I'm looking around like,
Oh my god, I
they-
fucking died. You know when the kid had to go to take a piss, I was
Yeah,
dying.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, no,
Oh,
like, you know, behind you.
that
I was like, no, fucking don't, no,
I had to watch that film twice, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
like,
I
are you
watched it
sure?
twice.
And you're like,
I was like, yeah, it makes sense
I was like,
because he doesn't interact with like other people,
and then they were like,
and it's like, what
they were
the?
like, you have to-
freaking hell.
You have to talk to them, and I'm like, fuck off! Do I have to talk to them? I ain't fucking talk to them. Are you mad? Like it was such a good concept. Like the fact that you had no idea about Mel Gibson's story. Not Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it was Mel
Um,
Gibson, man.
What's the Die Hard guy's
Come
name?
on,
Bruce
come
Willis.
on.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce
Yeah.
Willis.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis. Like the fact that he had no idea he was dead. My God! Like what a
It was
twist.
Brilliant,
so sick.
The fact that you have to help
Hopefully
the ghosts.
we all forgot that as well. That was a
like-
good shout.
He's like, do you know you need to help
That's
the ghosts,
Shyamalan.
that's why you can see them. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck. Yeah. No, I'm sure. Again, I liked Signs, but at the same time, I was like, I felt like I was shortchanged. But then, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
it's-
this film
it's
wasn't
more the suspense.
hardcore scary. It wasn't.
No, I mean, it was in its
that,
way.
but
Mate, it had its
it-
moments.
At points, it had its moments.
And remember
you know,
in the
so-
train station, and then the 3 things
Yeah.
were hanging, and then they zoomed in after. He was like, I can
When
see
he goes to talk to
I
those
can see
people,
them.
it's like,
And
freaking hell.
he's like, wait, I don't see them. And
Yeah.
then he goes,
That's-
boom.
yeah, that's-
I was like, fuck.
Yeah, no, that got to me, man. But yeah, the ending on that was just like a lot of people talk about it now.
Mind-boggling.
Like I'm yet to see a twist at the end of a movie on the same level as that film.
Yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, that is
Saw
true.
one. Good twist there.
Yeah.
This is how the group chats go, isn't it? They're just like they basically just descend into chaos halfway through, but slagging each other off.
You know,
Freaking hell.
yeah.
Do not say so.
You like anything recently?
No,
Is any new stuff that's got you?
that film itself, like
Spanish one. There's a Spanish horror film called The Floor. That was really good.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing.
Oh,
It's basically you start from the top, you have food, and the food goes down every level.
yeah. I've seen the trailer. It looks really good.
What do you
Really
mean?
good.
We watched on a me and the missus watched on a whim,
every level.
and basically it was really good. Like by the end of it, he goes. I can't ruin it, but it's a really good film.
Why is he?
And about
Is he
the
following the food? Is he hungry? What is it?
No, wait.
No,
Okay.
so from the top, it's a prison, and basically it's 300 something floors, and food descends a floor at a time. So the people that are on the top, they get first dibs on all the food.
Oh, they go on
And
the best food, yeah.
Yeah. Then the second people get the leftovers, and the third people get more and more. And then as it goes down, the food gets less and less scarce. But everybody's like fighting to survive. Like if you're on 350, you're pretty much getting nothing. At that point, you start eating each other. You start cannibalizing and killing the other person to
Is it like a prison?
It's like a prison. I don't know.
There's like a hole in the middle
Hey,
of the floor.
That's some fucked up prison, man. Because the guy at the bottom
Watch
floor ain't
it.
gonna
Watch
get
it. It's
shit.
a really good film.
It's more about society than it is about the horror. It's about life.
Yeah, but watch it. It's really good. It's a really, really good film. Do you remember watching that ITV show?
Yeah, Strange But True.
Strange but True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I used to
That
believe
was
it.
some fucking scary shit, man.
The guy,
fun.
the guy on the
The music,
motorcycle.
dun dun
And then they did
dun dun. It's like,
fuck on a motorcycle, and then basically the
Strange
person
but
behind it
true, freaking.
disappeared, and then they melted the car seat. Fucked up.
Yeah, because it was BBC or Was it BBC or
ITV,
ITV?
ITV.
Because it was
ITV.
ITV. You think, yeah, this must be real. Why? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's probably like a
exactly.
documentary style or the investigative.
It was real.
Have you guys
Like,
seen on Netflix the Unsolved
Enfield, the
Mysteries?
Enfield poltergeist was actually a
What?
legit thing that happened to her.
Damn.
Have you guys
Yeah,
seen
that.
have you guys seen the new series of Unsolved Mysteries
No.
on Netflix?
No.
Apparently, it's like there was like a really old school original series, and then they made a remake. Like it's not like a remake; it's like new documentaries, but unsolved
Well,
mysteries.
you can technically make a remake because they're unsolved, isn't it? They're still not solved.
Yeah,
the remake of
Yeah,
it.
but no, I don't think these were the
Still
same.
unsolved.
Yeah, I don't think these were the same events.
Still unsolved. What is true?
It was like
You can re-
it was a revamp of the cast and the way they did it, but it was more like it was like a proper documentary in it. What just happened? Like you're trying to work out why it happened. It's a bit crazy.
Do you know the crossover I want to see now is like Power Rangers versus Freddy. Now I think that would just be a great crossover.
Just happy with that. That was quite an interesting topic, guys. We covered a lot of films. I don't know how many. I'm gonna have to edit this properly to get the questions out of the top 5. Obviously, we had crossovers of all of our top 5
Yeah, yeah.
because of the fact that everyone has watched some of the same films.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a good discussion, guys. That's our Halloween special. It will be out once I finish editing it. It's gonna be hard.
Nice
work.
one. After Halloween, yeah.
Thanks, guys, for my outro. Fuckers.
Later on, guys.
Catch you later.
You guys don't even watch my videos. Right? You guys don't even watch, you don't watch my videos because it's like that's not
No,
that's not even what
wait,
I say at the end.
Peace out.
Yeah, finally.
Peace out.
Ow.
God.
Thanks a lot for watching, guys. That was my Halloween special.
Oh, but it's good.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.